wait a little bit. I don't think we have.
Start the thing. There's Kevin as well. Shall rename my stuff easier. All right. The only negative about say this thing is that my video has to be pinned because I'm not sharing screen. So
My video will be off, but I will be around.
yeah, my video should be pinned, so hopefully that should be fine. So
I can't hear you too well, Jan.
can't. You sure? Everything seems to be working on my side. Just a test, guys. How can you see the fonts? Is that big enough, or should I increase the size?
I can see it. I'll give a couple or more minutes for people to find this.
Yeah, Rafa said he was not able to access, but I provide a new link to him. Like, I don't know why he got a link that was saying that the meeting was over.
I'll just quickly jump into GatherTown as well. Okay, we have 4 attendees to begin with, so it looks like can't find this. Maybe Kevin, check in GatherTown if the link is correct. There wasn't some short circuit or something.
Oh yeah, I'll check that out.
Just for everybody who is here, I will be available in GatherTown after this as well. If you have any questions. Yeah, I'll finish till the end of a minute. We'll wait and then we'll get started. Get one of the questions out of the box, so I'm doing all this magic floating and everything. I'm using OBS, and that allows me kind of to set up the screen and everything as I want to. Okay, so without further ado, let's get this show started. Hello, everybody. My name is Dvořák. also known in the community as Storyteller. And a couple of the things I do, I'm probably known around as kind of one of the persons who manages Meteor community packages. I'm a contractor and also manage my own personal project called Meteor Universe. On social media, you can find me as a Storyteller or Storyteller CZ. So yeah, so today I'll be talking to you about accounts packages or accounts in general in Meteor, course of scope, common functionality, and then we'll go into more of the details of the individual packages and some of the other accompanying packages and what's coming up with Meteor 2.5, which you can already test out. So first of all, whenever you install any accounts packages, you are going to get accounts base. And or in general, that will kind of give you the basic functions that you can use everywhere. And the kind of the scope or the idea of the accounts package is to give you a simple, standardized way for Meteor to use it. Use accounts, logging in, logging out, managing user credentials, getting them. And thanks to this kind of accounts base, pretty much all of these packages are interoperable, which allows us then to build a really nice ecosystem, and you can be pretty much sure that unless you are doing something super crazy, then everything is going to work fine together. So as I mentioned, there are some common functions that you get once you install whenever accounts packages you get, because all depend on accounts base. And that is under the Meteor scope, you get Meteor user ID. And what user gets you is the current object for the currently logged in user. User ID gives you the user ID. And meteor.users is pretty much a shortcut for the user collection. So we can then run on it, .find and so on. Always be then in this case aware if you are on a server or on a client, that on a client you need to kind of subscribe and retrieve the necessary data. You also get a nice functionality like logging in, and which returns a Boolean showing you if the user is currently on the process of logging in. It's very rare to use that functionality, but it can happen. And then of course meteor.logout to log out the user and or log out with other clients. That's more advanced and specific ones. You also get logging with passwords, and that one gets available once you have the accounts password package, where you get Meteor login with, and then you add the service, and that one is dependent on having OAuth or additional, say, service available. So for example, Meteor.logging with Facebook will start the process of logging with Facebook. Then you can, there are additional settings that you can set, like OAuth secrets, or specifically their encryption, how long the tokens should last, and a lot of other things. You can read more of that in the documentation if you want. We can then go through them together. I'm getting that audio is faint. So let me check. Sometimes on my computer, microphones decides to be a little bit low, so hope this gets a bit better. And so let's continue. For those of you who are using Blaze, you also get some functionality like current user logging in, which is pretty much what you've seen from the general functionality. And then there is additional accounts UI config, which primarily deals with the front end functionality. Now, there are also some hooks that you can kind of jump in and utilize if you want, for example, check before you create a user that it's from an allowed domain, or want to do some other checks to apply some additional things, or for example, or after user gets added, then you can also run a hook and kind of add roles or anything else. So all of the steps for the account creation and login, logout are available, or they are hooks that you can kind of jump in and add specific logic for your application. So we have 3 on clients, on login failure, and on logout, and we have many more on the server, which are here on the right. And with some of them, you also have the option to kind of return a Boolean to stop the process of, for example, creating user. So feel free, if you have any questions, to add them in the chat. And whenever I finish with my slide, I will be answering them as well. So if you are using Blaze, there is this very neat accounts UI package to get you started super quickly with everything related to accounts. What it pretty much does, it provides you the login buttons template, which will create a drop down, which I will show you towards the end. And in there you have all the options, or for all the services that you have to install. So if you install accounts password, it will give you options to log in with email and password, or create an account depending on your settings. If you add in, for example, accounts Facebook, then it will allow you to set up the OAuth keys and app IDs for Facebook, and kind of walk you through the setup for Facebook, which normally you would have to kind of pretty much figure out on your own or add in. I will cover that later, how to add in those things as well. So that's a super easy to get your login or accounts started and be on your way without having to really worry about much, and it will kind of hold your hands to set up everything correctly. So if you're using anything else than Blaze, like React, then you have to kind of be aware more of the additional settings that you kind of need to do and create these client flows on your own. Though Felipe has built at least one package to kind of help you with that as well. So kind of, I would say probably the most used is accounts password. And that one is kind of the base that manages your users in your app. It's closely tied to the email package because you need to send verification emails and reset password emails, all that stuff. I'm very proud to say that we don't know about any security issues with this, and it has been in production for years. So that's pretty good. One thing that you should probably do with this is also install npm decrypt, but it's going to prompt you for that as well. And that's just for password security. Otherwise, you will get kind of the JavaScript version, which is slow. So let's dive into this one and see what we have for accounts password. So if you are using it with accounts UI, then you don't have to really worry about anything. Everything's pretty much going to be set up. But if not, then there are a couple of things that you're going to use, and there's also things that you can utilize. This is all under the accounts scape. So accounts.createUser, or you can then use also accounts.createUser verifying email. The difference between these two, as the name suggests, in both cases it creates user, but in the first case it does not send any verification or enrollment email, which in the second case it does. So if you use the first case, on the server create user, Then you need to then decide about creating user or kind of sending them emails on your own. So let me just move myself here. Okay. So then you have on the server nice functionality like set username, set password, in which case you can always you put in the user ID and what will be the new username or what will be the password. Notice that if you do set password, it on the server it does not ask you for the old password. So in this case, it should be either something that the admin is doing, or something that's super secure. If you want to change the password for the user, then you want to use the client side change password, in which case you add in the old password and the new password, so it verifies that it's comes from the correct user. And okay, so then you can add, remove emails, or send that, or specifically send reset, enrollment, or verification emails. So pretty straightforward. On the client side, you can also, as I mentioned, recall change password, forget password, and reset password. Both of these kind of start the forget or reset password flow, and with verify email, it will send out to the user verify email, verification email for the address. So if they have, for example, if they have multiple emails, what you can do is, because we always there in the database, you'll see it also has the option, or it shows if the email has been verified, which means that they get an email and clicked a link there that verifies that the email is not spam or fake. And so you can then send emails to, if they add more emails and they have the list, you can have like a verification buttons there, or for the default email, if you allow only for one in your application, then you can restrict certain actions before they verify the email, and you can then use this accounts that verify email to request, kind of start the flow to send them the email and to verify it before we allow them, for example, to post comments or something along those lines. So, and as with everything with accounts, there are hooks. So we have accounts.createUser, which I already hinted at before. Our account, or actually on accounts on create user, and then we have on create user verifying emails. Oops, no, my apologies. It looks like wrong copy of. Wrong slide. Kind of got something's got forgotten. But yeah, they're on create user, which allows you to set kind of check after user is created and do some things. And also on the client, again, we have reset password link, on enrollment link. These on something link, this is functionality that's going to run once the user, for example, clicks on the email verification link or on the reset password link, and they get to the page, which you can customize, and or if you're just running the default Blaze or as is, then you can use these specific hooks to again jump inside that and add additional functionality that you want to put in there. So for example, add that there's going to be explosion of fireworks once the confirmation that they have reset the password and stuff like that's going to happen. So another big thing is say the email package and how it integrates with accounts. In this case, the most things that you are going to be kind of changing here in relationship to accounts are the email templates, because once you're sending out the reset password links and stuff like that, you want to probably override how it looks, because by default we just send text along the lines, hello, this is page name, here is your reset password link or enroll account link, click on it to continue. So you probably in most cases want to add some more information to this, or maybe add your branding and stuff like that. So this is what accounts.email templates allows you to do, and then you do, and it's a big object in which you have site name, from, and headers. These properties allow you to kind of set the defaults for all the emails that get sent through the account system, so that you don't have to set up them for all of the templates. And if you can go for the templates, so that would be accounts.email templates.reset password. And underneath that, you have, from, subject, text, and HTML properties, respectively. And those are functions which get some additional data. For example, with text and HTML, they get things like the token, so that you can, or the URL as well, so you can kind of put that into your template and stuff like that. You can use for HTML, obviously HTML. My personal recommendation is to try something like HTML, which is specifically done to help build templates for emails. So now we go over to the probably most interesting for people who like to do social login, which is OAuth login and packages, and that's the already mentioned meteor.login with service, whichever you want. And as kind of the title suggests, this will start the OAuth process to the given service. We have officially supported packages for Facebook, GitHub, Google, Meetup, Twitter, Weibo, and also for Meteor login. So that's the login that you use to log into the Meteor Cloud. So we can put that on your website, which is pretty neat if you are doing just a development or like an app for Meteor developers. And if you combine it with GitHub, you can kind of cover all the big developers. There's also a lot of other packages available from the community. I personally have, for example, created a package for Line. So if anybody knows that, it's kind of like a WhatsApp clone for Japan. So that's available, and there's also for Apple login and Microsoft login and all the other sites that you can probably think of. And if not, then usually you can just find the package that has that use kind of similar technology to do the OAuth login, copy that, and create your own from that as a base. It's pretty straightforward. So if anybody needs to do that, then hit me up. I would be happy to help you. So right now I've created, or I kind of compiled a list of accompanying packages that I would like you to know about. And I don't think that you should miss on. They're kind of set into two sections, the official ones, and then ones from community. And first one, especially if you are using OAuth, is service configuration package. So, and that one allows you to much more easily set up manually the client IDs and secrets. I believe they also that's a package that's needed for any OAuth package. And this is where it comes if you don't have Blaze and Accounts UI. On the right, you can see, service.configuration.configurations.upsert. That's the code that you will be using to upsert a given service. And then you'll be setting up the client ID and the secret or app ID, whichever is the correct format for that given service that's used by the OAuth package. And you can then add additional information like login style pop-up, which is the one recommended. So that's what you will have to do to kind of put in the credentials manually. What you see here is obviously that that the client ID and secret is put in the code itself. What you should probably do, or what you should definitely do, is have these values in your Meteor settings file, and then just reference here for Meteor settings. So going along again for OAuth is OAuth encryption. You will generate, and this is in documentation as well, so you don't have to, type this over, is you will generate a key, a crypto key, and then you will add it into your accounts .config settings under OAuth secret key. And this will make sure that your keys are properly encrypted. So if there's any issues in the future with your database leaking and stuff like that, it just adds extra security step. Not necessarily something that you can use immediately in your application, but it's a nice touch for additional security. And as mentioned, you will also have to kind of look into your email package. And few things to kind of notice here in development before you pretty much set up anything. It will, whenever there is a call to send up, say, reset password email or anything like that, then you will see it in your server console, what's going on. And then you have, say, 3 ways how to set up this package. Either you set up a mail underscore URL that links to your SMTP or to your service provider for sending out the emails. Or you can set meteor.settings.packages.email and in your settings, and then you add service name, user password. And if it's one of the recognized services, then it will kind of handle that sending through there for you. Make sure to check docs for the supported services. Or if you have a nice API from your service provider for sending out emails, you can override all of that through email.custom transport hook, which you will get the data that's normally being used to send the emails through that hook, and then you can just work with it. So you'll have all the text, HTML, from, to, stuff like that you can pass on. And then also, as pretty much everywhere in Meteor, we have an additional hook, email.hook_send, which you can, again, check all of those data before they are sent and even prevent sending. So if there is some specific person that you don't want to send to because he's constantly sending or requesting emails, then you can just go in there, check if that email is, for example, spam or something like that, and prevent that from being sent. Now, for the community packages, I would recommend, if you're looking for a specific service, to check out on Atmosphere many of the options of OAuth services. An additional package I would like to kind of highlight here is Closehouse link accounts, which allows you to link to one user multiple additional, say, logins. So we can have, with one user you can have Facebook login, and then you can add additional, say, Twitter, GitHub, because currently how it works whenever if you use this kind of login through OAuth, if there is no link to an existing user, then it will create a new user. And this way, what you can do is allow users to link their additional accounts. So if they, for example, so if they have all those links, then they forget which one they used initially. It doesn't really matter which they click, it will log them in automatically. Another one, especially for those of you who are building applications with social or more social functionality are the socialized packages. And that's a set of packages that are designed to give you the necessary functionality, I'll just say, to create something like a Facebook or Twitter clone. So you get user profiles, you get friending, blocking, social feeds, comments, liking, and everything in between.
Yeah, your volume is low again.
And obviously, if you have the administrators,
yeah, can you hear me?
Or users with different roles through the application, then check out the aligning roles package,
Yeah,
which
can you hear me?
handles all of that. It's kind of the community standard for this.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Right. Moving on, recently this year we have published Accounts 2.0. This primarily removed deprecated functionality, which was the reason why we bumped major version. And before we had enrollment and reset password workflows linked together. So that had to, so we separated those. So that's again a reason for the major version bump. And we added a new hook called set additional find user on external login, which allows you to kind of do something similar to the link accounts, but this time, for example, you can, once you, for example, you have a user that has already linked through Facebook, and now they are trying to log in via Twitter, even though they have not linked their Twitter account yet, you can go in and see that they have the same email and log in the user based on the same email. I would kind of advise against this because that's, it's a lot of security issues to be aware of, which comes in general when you are doing or working with OAuth. You have to be aware of the potential security implication because you are no longer in control of your users, or at least when it comes to their login. So then, if something happens with their service, there's nothing really that you can do to help them out. So Meteor 2.5 is coming out soon. You can already try it out with release candidate 0. And there's a couple of exciting news in there. First of all is the addition of a new package called Accounts Passwordless, which requires only the email for a user, and then it will send them to their email code to log in. So that simplifies the login to a certain way that they don't have to remember passwords. And accounts.config and will be automatically applied if you have the settings in your Meteor settings file in the address as described here. And the same thing applies for service configuration. So the code that I showed you with the upsert, if you put it properly in your Meteor settings under packages.service configuration, and you add in all the keys properly, then it will be automatically applied, but that's new in Meteor 2.5. So once again, in Meteor 3.5, we have passwordless. And so you will have to be on the latest release candidate right now to get it. In addition also to the code, it also has a link that can be clicked for a quick login as well. And there was already a workshop on how all of that works. And also there is a package from Renan and Felipe that allows you to also do this, but instead of sending it to email, it will send it via SMS. So that's, in a brief, everything that you kind of need to know and be aware of in the accounts package. And now I'm going to kind of show you a couple of those things in practice. So first of all, so I have here, let's see, I have here a nice small application that I was working with. You can see I've been working this to kind of get the passwordless and accounts UI improvements, but I'm not doing that anymore, so I'll delete those. And now then let's update to the latest Meteor 2.5 release candidate 0 to get all the nice packages. So that will get them immediately, or almost immediately. So, and there is questions from Rafa. I think there was a discussion about allowing passwordless with SMS. Is that planned to be implemented too? I think, Felipe, if you can quickly put the link, there is a package for that already. So Felipe or Renan, if you can put the link to that in the chat, that would be great.
Yeah, there was
there is already,
can you hear me?
Link to that. There was a live stream was it last week? I think it was last week or so, where a package was pretty much built as a showcase, how easy it is to, again, use the hooks in passwordless and get that done. Okay, so the package is going to be published soon. So we have the package running. And so first of all, you can already see that I have the import accounts from Meteor accounts base. And that is just so I can access here the email templates to define site name and from. I am not right now defining the templates as well. And here we have our navigation, which is in place. Let's jump to a browser and take a look how it looks. So this is currently how the app looks. Doesn't have really much, just the basic functionality to rank your personal values and stuff like that. So, but what we want to add here, we said it was the login buttons template, if I remember correctly. We shall see in a moment. Let's see. Let me just quickly jump to the specific slide. I can also use that for a reminder. More count. Okay, so just to remind everybody what I will be doing here. So, come on. So we have in place these options. So if we, here we go. One more slide. So as I mentioned, I already have installed Accounts UI, just so that everybody knows, just so it's Meteor app, Accounts UI unstyled, and Accounts UI. You have these two options to add. In this unstyled is, as the name suggests, you will get the Accounts UI unstyled, and you can add in your own CSS. But I want to have the Meteor Accounts UI as is, because obviously I want them to be styled. So with that added, I can now, in my, let's find the window over here. So I can now add here login, should be login buttons. Buttons, plural. So it's something little like that that kicks us off. So now if I restart my application, the magic of Meteor should start. And here we have the sign in. You can see here, as I mentioned, this is the drop down option. So right now I have it configured with accounts passwordless, but let's just say that I add Meteor add accounts password. So yeah, I'll be adding the accounts password. So we have the passwords. Oops. Is it because I'm on a release candidate? Let's try accounts Facebook. It should have a stable release. Okay, so now we have added Facebook. And obviously having accounts passwordless and accounts password is kind of redundant or kind of strange choice to have. Okay, so. And now what you can see is that we have here the options to configure Facebook login. And here it gives us a nice description how to go into Facebook and add the application. And up down here, just full screen. Now we can also add the app ID, app secret, and all the other information, so that and that will then go as I showed you before. What you would have to do automatically, with the upserting the secrets in Blaze, this will be kind of taken care for you. Okay, bad resolution. Not sure what much else can I do to improve, except for obviously making things bigger. I need to make it smaller for this to show you the full screen, because with Facebook it takes much bigger to kind of get it working. The downside of this is obviously with these instructions is that Facebook and Twitter have tendency to constantly change their process. So might be sometimes a bit out of date, but the basic premises still works. And you'll have that with all the packages with OAuth. If this one is actually predominant or required to have the config UI package in the set, and that depends on then if in the community on the person who is building that package to provide this package for you. So that's this super simple application can do it. If I remove Facebook here, it's just so what you can see here is there's actually a couple of packages that are part of this. Of course, the oauth packages, which are kind of the engine underneath it. And then we have, as I mentioned, the accounts Facebook, which then contains accounts OAuth, accounts, and Facebook OAuth, which work underneath it. And in again, underneath kind of the main package to give you the necessary code to run this. And as I mentioned, there's also accounts Facebook UI, which just adds the UI config for this. So if you are building without Blaze, you will be adding the Facebook OAuth or any additional packages related to that, so that you don't have the for you unnecessary accounts UI or the Facebook UI package. And in regards to the video quality, yes, I have the HD set up. So I am not sure what's going on. Maybe something with potentially with my internet. I've been some issue with that. Right, now let's look for something more exciting, and that is how it looks if you put it, say, all together. So this is from my personal application called Meteor Universe, which I use for testing and also kind of my hobby. And this is my, I could call the email settings. And what you can see here is that I'm using MGML. Let me put up the website for that. So this is the official website for MGML, and as the title suggests, it's used for creating, nice looking emails. And especially if you're using React, then it should come in super handy. They also have this email editor here where you can create the looks and everything before and see how it looks on different screens. And they also have different templates, which is how I got started. I just took a template from here, put it into their live editor, I just said what I wanted. And then over here, I have the HTML email template. And yeah, that's what you get in. It's the template message. So on startup, or it can be also without startup, here I have for the enrollment email. You can see in the subject, I will get the user. So I get the language for the user, and then return a head or a subject heading for the user in their language. And over here we have the HTML part of the email, so I get the user and the URL for the enrollment. The same thing applies for, you go later on down here for reset password, you get the URL for enrollment, either for text and HTML. So if I back here, see a lot of MGML text, and what's important here is that I add, let's see, where do we have that? Important part is to always include the link so that the user knows where to go to. And in this case, yes, it's in the button. So that's, so once they click on a nice big button, it will then show them the link. But obviously not all say clients can work with HTML. So then I have here the text. And in this case, it's just a message that, or formatted message, which is for my internationalization package. And I have the full text here, so kind of so that I know what I'm actually adding here. And at the end, I will just add the link in there. So that's kind of more intricate setup. And let me see if I can also, and I'm, I think, already at 2.5 version here, so I have already removed my say manual input when it comes to, yes, when it comes to additional settings. That's, so let me see though if I still have it in admin. Yes. So this is the old setup, and as I mentioned, you know, I'm getting it from my Meteor settings, package services, Facebook. So then that means that I have to have for all the services at the startup of my application to make sure that it's there. And here you see again accounts config, OAuth secrets, and the user messages and stuff like that. So we are slowly running out of time. So I would like to leave this, or kind of leave this 5 minutes for you to ask any questions specifically, or if you have encountered any problems with integrating accounts into your applications. Give you a couple more moments. And while you might be typing, I'll just add kind of one important thing, which you might have kind of been wondering. For example, you know, why do we, in the socialize package, why there is like an additional package just for profiles, which one of the things that it does, it set up accounts profile collection. And the reason is that you also have a profile property on the user account, but we always recommend never to store, say, any profile say, settings or information on the user's collection. And that's because in the future, that might change and there might be some automatic migration. So you might lose some data. So it's better to always have it in a collection that you can fully control and be in charge of. Okay, Gustavo says that logging with passwords works great. Glad to hear that. Would be very sad if that wasn't the case. And yeah, for passwordless, I would recommend a look on the live stream that was done by Felipe and Renan last week. They go in depth on how that one works, stuff like that. Also remember that you have to be on the latest release candidate for Meteor 2.5. So just show you how to get there. So it would be Meteor update -- release 2.5 - rc.0 in this case, or maybe in a couple of days it's going to be released finally, or might have some new versions. So whenever you get that, it will get you the latest released version. Or if you want to, you can always, if you have like some problems with getting some of those packages, you can always download them and put them into your packages directory in your application and then easily add them. So for example, here at accounts password. Saw earlier that there was some issue with adding this, but looks like this time it works fine. Okay, so now it works fine. But if that wasn't the case, I would then just go into the branch to get accounts passwords and then just copy that folder with that package into my packages folder. Again, around this, and that will pick up the local package. And now that I have accounts passwords in my over here, it will create this grotesque look with two kind of email logins. So that's again, that's why you don't put those two together, because it just does not look nice and doesn't make any sense. And yeah, Felipe also mentioned that they have a accounts passwordless React package that they have done in that webinar. So that will kind of get you fast or getting started fast. So and in the chat we have the links. I am also going to copy that onto the path table. Or actually, Ryan has already done that, but never hurts to have it twice, so that those details won't disappear once we are done with the stream. And I believe that's it, what we have for today. Thank you very much for your attention. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Slack or see me in Gathertown. I'll be hanging around. I have quite a lot to do after, so I'm not exactly sure with how much I'll be there for the rest of today. But yeah, I'll be there definitely tomorrow. So yeah, thank you very much for your attention and happy hacking.